The Vikings play their first preseason game. Twins lose 4 in a row. And Zach Annexstad loses his season to a foot injury. You're listening to the Game 7 podcast. All right, to get started today, I'm going to start out a new segment on this podcast. It's called Riley's Dumb Takes. And I'm going to go over a couple of takes that I heard from Riley over the course of the last month or so. Today, I have 2 of them where it just it came back to bite him. He was wrong. He's probably not going to admit it.
Let's hear it.
But he's just dumb.
I don't
This could
believe it.
happen.
Let's hear it.
I'll do this from time to time. If he says it either on the show or if he says it if we're just hanging out or whatever, talking. But I think it's a worthwhile segment just so you guys know how little he knows about all this stuff.
It's
So
just a lie.
the first
I wanna hear
take,
it.
about a month ago, we were watching the Red Sox game against the Twins, and Sano went 0 for 7, and he struck out probably 6 times or so. And I was hearing from Riley about what a terrible player Miguel Sano is. And I was trying to explain to him that it's just not the case. He's a good player. I tried to say that his OPS is very good. And at the time, he wasn't a great, but he was better than a lot of players on the Twins. And Riley didn't believe it. He's like, no, look at his average. He's hitting 200.
He was
Anyway,
hitting like 140, but yes,
anyway,
continue.
no, he was hitting 200.
No.
He was not hitting 140 at any point in this year. He was just dipping below the 200 mark, but he still had a better OPS than, for example, Marwin Gonzalez did at the time. Anyway, now, at this point in the season, if you take Snow's numbers and you extrapolate it, and we'll talk about this later in the show, 162 game projection, he has a 911 OPS, he's on a 50 home run pace, and he's on pace to hit 32 doubles, which that's an MVP candidate.
Okay.
It is. You have 50
Okay.
runs. How many
All
players?
right.
How many players have on the
In
Twins in the history have hit 50 home runs?
all right. In my defense, when I was saying all this stuff, Sano was just coming back from injury, and he started off horrid. And
He started off better than a lot of the
no.
Twins. At that point, he had like an 800 OPS, which is above average.
Okay. All right.
Because he hits
Whatever.
home runs, he adds more value. A home run's
Whatever.
more valuable than a single.
I was watching him. I was watching him play, and I saw him strike out every single time he
Well,
was going.
I was trying to
I
explain to you that he's off to a little bit of a slow start, but that
he
doesn't mean
was.
we should jump ship and trade
He
him or he's
was.
one of the worst players on the team. No, he wasn't that bad.
And then what happened? No, the turning point in Sano's season was when the hitting coach got with him, and they were literally trying to fix his swing on the fly. As the season went on, they were trying to fix his swing, and it ended up working. Like after a while, he got the groove, he got into it, and now, yeah, he is on 50 home run pace for 32 doubles, over 900 OPS, whatever. And I'm happy about it, but I have seen over the last year or two that Sano has just, first of all, not been able to stay on the field, similar to Buxton, and he has underwhelmed me when he has been on the field. But trust me, I'm happy as hell to see that he is on this pace, and I hope he stays on this pace. We do need him to turn out, but I hadn't seen it up to that point, but I'm liking what I'm seeing lately.
Yeah, I was just saying at that point, even then when he was struggling, he was doing better than almost half the Twins roster if you
Uh,
look at actual metrics that matter.
I don't like metrics. We've been over this. I
Yeah,
don't
I know
do
you don't.
metrics. All
Well,
right,
I don't want to. The
what's the
second
next
take.
take?
The second take is we're preparing for our first episode of the show, talking about different trade pieces, and I brought up Trevor Bauer, and he didn't let me talk about him. And we might have talked about it a little on the podcast, but he came at me saying how dumb I was for thinking that the Indians might trade Trevor Bauer, and I told him, I said, and it would have been a perfectly fine take if he said, "Oh, I just don't think they're going to trade him. It doesn't make a lot of sense," because I would have said the same thing. But he said, "There's no way. It's not even worth talking about Trevor Bauer." What team does Trevor Bauer play for now?
The Reds?
Is that the Indians?
No, it's not the Indians.
Exactly.
I don't know what they were doing with that. I mean, okay, I understand they have an abundance of pitching, but and they need power hitting, but post the trade, I still don't like it. It's not like it was a good idea, and I still don't think it was something that needed to be talked about because I don't think it ever should have happened in the first place.
But
Stupid.
that's not how we determine what we're going to talk about. We talk about things that are going to happen, and that's what happened.
What?
I said
I
it's worth talking about, just discussing what the possibilities are, and you shot me down because you thought there's no way he got traded. Not that he shouldn't be traded, what you're saying now. No, you said he won't be traded. I
I
said he
did
might. I said it doesn't make very much sense, but he might because the Indians keep saying he's on the block.
I did say that. Well, I don't care what the Indians say. I that was stupid. It was stupid, and I didn't think the Indians were going to be that stupid. But it turns out they surprised us all, and now they're one of the hottest teams in baseball. So, what do you know? I can't sit up here and say they were wrong for doing it because it's obviously worked out somehow. And
All
he
right.
had that. And the thing that caused it, I think, one last thing is when when he launched the ball 480 to center. I don't think that helped this case to get off the trading block.
No, but you don't trade a player for doing one stupid thing like that.
No, I know, but it was just kind of
And a
the
trade like that wasn't discussed in 2 days. That definitely there was talks for probably a couple of weeks,
yeah.
especially with the three team. And I didn't see the three team coming, but it would have been worth talking about.
All
But
right.
that's the two Riley's dumb
Now
takes. And
now that we're
I'm
done
gonna write
harping on
all.
me,
All right, moving on to the Vikings' first preseason game, and I'm not one to really pay attention to preseason too much. I think the preseason's way too long. I don't think you can get much out of it. But that being said, I think that there's some good takeaways, especially for younger players, rookies, and whatnot. What were your initial thoughts about the Vikings offense?
yeah, and I was definitely more focused on their offense, but I thought they looked good overall. Good first drive from the starters. They were able to get into the end zone, which is always nice to see. And I really liked how they moved the pocket instead of just having the quarterback drop straight back. It's sort of like John DiFilippo did last year. He was just very set on 5 and 7 step drops, having Kirk sit back there and try to survey the field, which I did not think was a very good idea for how our team is built and how our offensive line is built. I feel like our offensive line is performs better in space, and I really liked how Stefanski was able to get Kirk and the other quarterbacks out of the pocket and moving side to side and being able to get receivers open that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the offense was looking pretty good. I was pretty pleased with them. Again, I don't think we can get much, especially from the starters, but looking at some of the rookies, I thought Garrett Bradbury really had a good game. Showed that he could play in the NFL, especially against some tough competition up front from the Saints defensive line.
Yep. It
But
was nice to see that, and he was out there and he was able to control the offensive line because the center is the quarterback of the offensive line. So it was nice to see him get out there, get his feet wet in the NFL a little bit, make some calls, and most importantly protect Kirk. That was nice to see, and but also moving on to another situation that I think is going to be fun to watch throughout all these preseason games is the backup quarterback competition. Mannion looked decent, nothing special, nothing terrible. He looked good, but I think Kyle Sloter really impressed, especially with his athleticism and his ability to get out of the pocket, just like I was mentioning earlier, and find open receivers downfield. I think that he really took a big step forward in the backup quarterback race and really kind of showed he's a little bit of a gamer because I've heard coming out of Vikings camp that he's not the best in camp. He doesn't practice that great, um, but he was really able to just show that he can go out there and play football when he needs to.
yeah, I loved what I saw from Kyle Sloter last night. I think that Sean Mannion has had a way better camp than him, and he's probably going to win the backup spot. But it is something to be said if a quarterback can go out and play in a game, and he can play, and it's still the preseason, but at the same time, it's still the NFL, and he's still
It,
making plays.
it is, yeah, and I think that it does come down to what the Vikings coaching staff values more. when they're looking at a backup quarterback. What do they want? Do they want somebody that's going to be a gamer, going to go out there and can play loose and throw the football around, or do they want somebody that's going to be more important in the film room and in the quarterback room and can kind of give his knowledge, especially Sean Mannion from being from Sean McVay's system? I think that. It'll be interesting to see what the Vikings coaching staff values more when they're looking on which quarterback to keep.
Yeah, it all kind of depends which direction they want to go. I think that Sean Mannion will probably win the job, like I said earlier, but it is something to think about when what if Kirk goes down with an ACL halfway through the year?
Who's going to have a better shot of winning a Super Bowl?
Or do you want a backup that's going to be more along the lines of not going to lose the game, but also not going to win the game for you?
Yeah, exactly. And it is just it's tough to make that decision on if you want somebody that's going to go out there and going to play freely like that, or somebody that's going to be that safe option. But
And protect the football and whatnot. It just kind of
a
depends.
game manager,
Yeah,
basically. So,
exactly.
but anyways, moving on to some other points that we saw from the first preseason game. I think that we saw that Alexander Madison can be a workhorse if really needed in this offense, and I feel like he is the guy that is able to go out there and take 25, 30 carries a game if need be. If Dalvin Cook go down or whatever may happen there, I think that he showed that he can go out there and he can carry the load on offense.
Yeah, he showed he could be a guy out there. I was very happy with what I saw because, running back is a position where you do get hurt and you need a couple of guys, in the words of PJ Fleck, a pair and a spare.
Exactly, and I even if Dalvin Cook doesn't get injured, it is nice to have a good second running back that can just take the load off him even when he's healthy. Just that can go
Yeah,
out there
someone that can go
take
out
some
there
carries off.
and someone that can go out there, even not necessarily a third down back, but someone that can go out there and get you a first down.
Yep.
If
After Delvin breaks off a 15, 20-yard run, he needs a breather. You send Madison out there and you don't lose a whole lot at the position. He's still able to get you yards if you want to keep running the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And on the other
And
side of the ball, I think the defense for sure, not too much to talk about there because they're very stable.
they are very stable. They've been playing together forever. It's a very solid group of guys out there.
Yeah, and although the offense is said to be ahead of the defense at camp, that's also coming from Mike Zimmer, who's a defensive-minded guy, and he has very high expectations for his defense.
Yeah, I think it is a lot of just Zimmer's expectations. He expects them to be a top defense in the league, if not the best defense in the league. That's what he expects. That's what he wants, and that's what he's going to try to get out of his guys every single day at practice. So if they do not live up to his expectations, which are extremely lofty, he's gonna be the guy to try to rip them in the media or whatever and try to light a fire under them. Because they are a bunch of veterans. They are a bunch of guys that are subject to be complacent with how they are. I don't think that they are, but it would make sense if they are because they've been so good for so long. But I think Zimmer's just trying to light a fire and trying to get the best out of his guys. But with that being said, it is good to hear that the offense is making strides and ahead of expectations at this point in camp. It is nice to hear because if we can have that just as good of an offense as we do a defense, I think we're in very good shape.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see this team. I want to see a third receiver step up. I also want to see strides from the offensive line, but I think the roster we have is really good. I think we have a shot to be a pretty good football team.
It is a really good roster, but I think people do overstress the third receiver spot. I think that with this team, you need to look at it as more of a third pass catcher because we have more than two pass catchers. I mean, Thielen and Diggs are the givens, but then you look at it away from a wide receiver spot. You got Kyle Rudolph, you have Delvin Cook, even Alexander Madison and Irv Smith Jr. You have all these guys that can be a third pass catcher that aren't necessarily receivers. With that being said, yeah, it's still nice to have a third wide receiver that can go out there and get you first downs when it comes to a big third down or whatever going late in the game. But I think throughout the season, it's going to become pretty clear that the third wide receiver position isn't the most important position that we need to fill because we do have other guys that can be the third pass catcher, just not at receiver.
You're right. I agree. We have the tight ends and whatnot, and plus it's Thielen and Diggs, just two of the best in the business.
They're going to
So
be open every play.
You just need someone that's going to go out there and make the catches when you need them to, but also take a little of the stress off of Thielen and Diggs. And Kirk's a quarterback, as he showed last year in the Packers game after he threw to Treadwell and it hit off his hands for an interception. He showed, and he went right back to him. He showed that he's a quarterback who's going to hit the open man. He's going to make his read and hit the open man. If we have a third guy he doesn't need to be everything for this offense. He just needs to be there, catching the ball, not having things go off his hands. When Kirk makes the read and finds that he's going to be the open man, we need someone that can do that. We don't really have that right now. Kirk kind of needs to force it to Thielen and Diggs, which works, but imagine how much better the offense could be if he was just making his read. And if Kyle Rudolph is open, it's Kyle Rudolph. If Diggs is open, it's Diggs and whatnot.
And I don't think forcing it to Thielen and Diggs is going to work against these better defenses in the NFL and in the postseason. I don't think that's going to work, but
we have other options. We have a couple running backs that are good. We have a couple tight ends, but I think that one more guy that plays the wide receiver position is going to be important for this team. Exactly. And it's not going to be Treadwell.
It's not going to be Treadwell. That's what I was trying to get at, is that in my mind Treadwell is as good as gone. He's cut and he's going to be off the team. I mean, he's not even – everyone was saying that I was hearing in the media was like, oh, well, he could be a gunner on kickoff and punt and things like that. And I heard he was running with second team on as gunner on kickoff and punt. And it's just like I think his days here are
I think people had too high of hopes from him. He's a first-round pick, and they should have, but
exactly, which I think
they expected him to be a deep threat, possession type receiver.
Yeah,
here and that, it's just not working out. He can't catch. He doesn't have a good attitude.
I know, and I think
not good qualities out of a wide receiver.
No, they're terrible qualities, and I think it's funny when you look at our wide receiver room. You have Thielen, undrafted. You have Diggs, 5th round. You have Chad Beebe, who was undrafted. You have Olabisi Johnson, 7th rounder. Then you have Treadwell, 1st-round pick, and by far the worst out of the group. And I just think it's funny how that's how the NFL is, though. You need to be that guy that's going to go in there and work your ass off day in and day out, game in and game out, to better yourself and get more touches. But Treadwell has proven that he's not that guy.
This isn't your backyard college football team, Johnny Manziel. It's a football team that you need to earn your place on. And if you don't go out there and work hard, don't perform, you're not going to have success.
Exactly. And Mike Zimmer, if there's one thing about Mike Zimmer that I think we can all agree on, he does not give one rat's ass where you were drafted or where you were gotten from. He does not care. If you're the best player, you're going to be out on the field.
Yeah, he doesn't care about that.
Which I love.
It's not about names for him. It's about, he's a good football coach. He's not going to go out there and do what he thinks the media and the fans are going to like. He goes out there and does. No. He goes out there and does what's best for the football team, and I think that's a really good quality from Zim.
Yes, I love it. But yeah, moving on to the Twins now.
Oh, I don't think anybody wants to talk about this, but here, let's pull the Band-Aid off. Buxton back to the IL. He needs to find a way to stay on the field.
Yes, he does.
It's just, and I know that this take is worn out, but he can't be getting hurt as much. Whatever it is, it just can't happen.
No, he's too damn valuable. He is way too
valuable.
valuable.
Twins are 693 with him in the lineup.
It's unbelievable. I mean, the Twins are a whole entire different team.
Win pace.
Oh my goodness! I mean, he's unbelievable. He does so much.
Defensively, it's a chain reaction because you don't have Jake Cave in the outfield if he's in there. Who's just awful out there. Exactly. On offense, he puts pressure on defenses. He puts pressure on pitchers when he's on the base pass. He doesn't hit singles because if he hits a single, he gets a second somehow.
Whether it's the next pitch or that pitch.
Yeah, but, that's the thing though. Like even taking steals out of the equation, he's still hitting doubles at an incredible pace, and it's not because he's hitting them to the wall every time like Sano. No, that's not what it is. He's
Yeah,
hitting
he's hitting
singles.
loop singles, and the
And
guys aren't.
don't get me wrong, he drives the ball, but my point is he should have a lot more singles than he does. It's his
It,
speed is just incredible.
he does, yeah, because as an outfielder, you don't necessarily, the good ones do, but the average outfielder isn't gonna, see that Buxton's up, be prepared, and then even if they are, they sprint to the ball and they get the ball in as fast as possible, and he's already at second somehow. It's ridiculous watching him get from home to second in just ungodly times. It is crazy. But even with that being said, if it is a single or a walk or whatever, and he's on first base, he takes up so much of the pitcher's attention, which just feeds so well into the rest of our lineup for the rest of these power hitters that if that pitcher takes his eye off of the plate and gives it to Buxton, he's more likely to make a mistake. And once he makes that mistake, our hitters have proven that they will capitalize on the majority of mistakes that pitchers give.
Yeah, and it's this lineup is just incredible to watch. It's so fun. That's why it's been frustrating these last few days watching the team lose games. But on a more broad scale, we talked about Snow a little earlier and talking about your bad takes with him. But on a more positive note, if you look at Snow and Buxton, their adjustments this year have been incredible.
They
I
have
mean,
been, yep.
they've made James Rawson, he's a keeper. If I'm the front office, I'm giving him a blank check whenever his contract is up because he has done unbelievable things for a lot of these hitters. And he doesn't mess with you if you're doing your job, but if you need an adjustment, he's there and he knows what to do.
Just like Sano,
Sano
really.
and Buxton have made very noticeable differences in their swing mechanics and has led to a ton of successes here and a ton of our wins. And again, that's just a credit to Sano dedicating himself. It's a credit to Buxton dedicating himself, and also the hitting staff. It's really been fun to watch. And those two guys, when they're in the lineup together, the Twins are pretty close to unbeatable.
They really are. And one thing going back to James Rawson and everything, and I mean, it's not very often that you see somebody going through a slump, and especially like Sano, right when he comes off that injury into late May or early June or whenever he came back, and it's not often that you see a hitting coach say, "We need to work on your mechanics now." While you're consistently in the lineup playing the Red Sox, playing these teams that have very good pitching staffs. He was going through these games, learning on the fly, changing his swing on the fly, and James Rawson and Miguel Sano working together were able to fix his swing, fix his hands, and now he's on pace for 50 home runs, 32 doubles, and above 900 OPS. And
Yeah, like we were talking about in the open about your bad take. The
yes,
guy,
it was a bad take. I gotta admit it. I mean, when I'm wrong, I'm gonna admit it, and I was wrong.
yeah, the point is this team is really fun to watch. They hit a lot of home runs, and we're not even talking about the Cruzes of the world, the Keplers, the Polancos. We're talking about how if these two guys play, we're going to win. If they and play well. If they don't, we're going to lose. They're pivotal to our future success, and they've really taken steps this year. I mean, Buxton, he's gone from a 35% strikeout rate to 24%. He's one of the worst in the league at it to above average in one season.
Yeah, and I love it. Just the fact that you said that if Sano and Buxton are in the lineup, we are basically unbeatable. Just flash back to 5 years ago when these guys were just, prospects coming up just like Lewis and Kirilloff are now, and all you hear about is how good they are, how good they're going to be. And now later we've built the team around them. We have much better players around them, and we are in a pennant race right now. I feel like Twins fans get lost on that. That
Yeah,
we are in a pennant race when years ago when these guys were just a thought that it has all come to fruition, and these guys are who we thought they were back in the minors, and I just love to see it as a Twins fan. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, we need to have some perspective. Our longest losing streak this season is 4 games.
That's crazy.
Four games.
That is
We're
crazy.
having a rough patch right now, and it's not because of our hitters, because of our starting pitchers. Have some perspective. We're
Which is a
tied
whole
with the hottest team in baseball.
Yes, that is
right
true.
now. We have had terrible teams since 2010. terrible. We've had 2 good seasons since 2010, and one of those we made the playoffs. We lost to the Yankees, and the other one we didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Have some perspective. We are a good team. We have a really easy schedule remaining. We're going to get some guys back from injury, and I'm hoping we'll win the AL Central and move on to the playoffs.
Yeah, and look, I understand the pessimism from Minnesota sports fans. We get it.
But yeah, it's just
as Minnesota sports fans, we understand the pessimism. Like it makes so much sense. But you do got to look at it like, damn, we are in a pennant race with the hottest team in baseball, and we have a real shot. Once everybody gets healthy, we have a great shot.
Yeah, and people are complaining about us not getting starting pitching at the deadline, and I wanted Marcus Stroman. Everybody wanted Marcus Stroman, whatever. But also have some perspective. Look at the contracts on our team. Look at the ages on our team. This is not our entire playoff window. And yeah, you can't be riding on being good next year because nothing's guaranteed.
Yes.
But this team is built to be good and to be good for a long time.
For 8-10 years, yes. We are built to be good for a long time here.
So we make year after that. A lot of these teams, they didn't make moves. These teams that are good now, they didn't make moves until they were winning over 100 games.
Yes, winning consistently.
In their second and third year being good.
Exactly.
That's when they start making the high profile. And there are exceptions, but I think the more perspective we have as Twins fans, the more we can enjoy this season, which has really been incredible, and it's going to continue to be really fun. And I mean, I just sitting at Target Field on Wednesday. I went to the game, and it was a frustrating game, but I'm sitting there, and you hear the Bomba Squad like siren that they play, and I'm just picturing in my head, we have the most prolific power offense in the history of baseball. Imagine a playoff series, and the stadium is full, and they're playing that siren, and people are just going nuts with Eddie Rosario coming up with a guy on first and second. That's just going to be so fun.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's never been a playoff game at Target Field, has there?
I'd have to double check 2010. I think we played here in 2010.
Did we? Either way.
I think so.
Either way, I would pay a lot of money to go to a playoff game this year with this team at Target Field. I think it would be one of the most electric atmospheres that I've ever been a part of. It's going to be so much fun if we can find a way to win this division and get
playoff baseball in October outside. We got an unbelievable team that honestly can beat anybody.
Yes, we really
it's
can.
Exciting. It's really exciting, and I think this terrible week we've had, and our streak, by the way, just ended at 4 games. We just won. So our streak was 4 games where we didn't play well, and the losses were ugly. We're still 71-46.
We are. And going back to the streak thing, it took us until the All-Star break to lose 3 in a row. It took us.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's just incredible.
It really is.
The Astros, guess what their longest streak has been this year?
What's that?
7 games.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we
maybe
need, everybody
6.
just needs to
Don't
take a breath.
quote me, it might be 6, but either way,
if
the Astros can lose 7 games in a row, then the Twins can, and we still have 2 months left in the season. We still have 2 months, and we have the Tigers. We have like a million times that we play the Tigers.
Exactly. So everybody just does need to take a deep breath.
Indians. We control our destiny. We're in a good spot right now.
Yep.
Yeah. Moving on to Gopher football. Zach Annexstad possible starting quarterback. Non-contact injury, popped something in his foot, and just terrible news.
Yeah, never good to hear that.
I see 2 words in the notification that I got. Zach Annexstad popped something in his foot on a non-contact injury, and the second thing was he's out indefinitely.
Which is just not good news. That is a death sentence in college football. It is not good at all. But
and not just college football, any sport.
Any sport
are brutal.
Any sport, yeah.
I'm still very optimistic about the season. We got Tanner Morgan, who's got experience, did a good job last year behind a mammoth offensive line and great receivers and the best running back situation probably in the country.
Yes, I absolutely love the offense.
we could lose 3 running backs and still have good running backs back there. That's what I mean by best situation. Maybe not the
It's
best running
ridiculous.
backs themselves, but our depth
The best
and
situation.
experience, the amount of yards we have back there. I mean, we have 2 million yards between Shannon Brooks and Rodney Smith, and we have a better offensive line and better receivers and better quarterback than they've ever had.
Yes, and I think that's all of this really is just a huge testament to PJ Fleck and his staff and recruiting. Recruiting is the biggest thing in college football. Obviously, that's how you get your players. That's the players that you have. And with PJ Fleck, he does not care about position of need. He recruits the best players he can find, and he gets those players. And I think that is very obvious with the running back situation. When he came in here, Rodney Smith and Shannon Brooks were already on the roster, and they were already established. But he still went out there and he still recruited all these running backs, and he recruited all over the board, and still got these good running backs to come in. And I think that is just it's unbelievable what it'll do for this team moving forward, and especially with the quarterback situation too. I mean, he got Tanner Morgan, and he got Annexted, and Jacob Clark now, and even the Eden Prairie kid. I forgot his
Cole
name.
Kramer.
Cole Kramer, thank you.
Yeah.
Who I'm not a big fan of at all, but that's a personal grudge. I won't go over that, but but yeah. With that being said, like we do have the best quarterback, the best offensive line, the best group of wide receivers, and the best running backs that we've had in a long, long time here. And I think it's going to be an extremely fun offense to watch, and an extremely productive offense that is very experienced, but at the same time very young. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And I'm also very excited to see that defense too. We got an offense with an incredible amount of talent on it and a defense with a ton of experience on it. It's a good combination, and I love the coaching staff. I'm just excited all around about this football team and the potential that they have to win a lot of games in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, me too, because especially on defense, you look at the veteran leaders they have, such as Carter Coughlin, you got Kamal Martin, Barber at middle linebacker, and Antoine Winfield. All these guys are experienced guys that have been through it. They know how to win football games. They know how to lead. And but then also you look at all the young guys that PJ's been bringing in these last 2 years, and it's going to be amazing for our future and amazing for the culture, like PJ Fleck always says. And it 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 is going to be a fun year for the Gophers. I think that it is not unrealistic that we would be playing in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm excited for the season. We'll definitely be talking more about this as the year goes on. And we start getting, especially when we start getting the Big Ten play and start to talk about bowls and all that stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
With nothing more to do, it's going to be everybody's favorite time in the podcast. It's the overreaction of the week coming up next.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
All right. So we got the overreactions of the week. What do you got for us, Tuck?
All right, my overreaction of the week is that the Browns are not only going to, but also winning the Super Bowl.
Is that really an overreaction, or is that just your personal opinion that you hold in general?
It's a little bit of both
asinine.
because originally I thought that the Browns were going to be much improved and going to the playoffs, but after seeing this first preseason game and seeing not only the first team offense just absolutely dominate everybody on the field, and Baker Mayfield just be in complete control and in charge of that offense without Odell even making a catch, I saw that and him lead him down the field. But I also saw the young guys on defense that they drafted. We got Greedy Williams and then Mac Wilson. I saw both. Mac Wilson stood out with a pick six and 2 interceptions total, and then Greedy Williams also had an interception. I think that that defense is going to be a lot better than people expect, and I think that offense is going to have no troubles with off the field issues like people are saying. And I think that this team has a very, very realistic chance to go win the Super Bowl 2 years after losing every single game.
All right, we'll see about that, buddy.
We'll see.
We'll see. This has been a point of contention for us, I know.
It has been. We have not agreed on this at all. Kyle didn't even think they were going to a playoffs a couple weeks ago. Don't me. The Browns are going to the playoffs, and if they
Yeah,
don't,
well, I mean,
you can have a whole entire podcast roasting me about
entire podcast. The
If they
entire we're doing an
yes
hour and a half special about how stupid you are.
yes if they do not make it, but if they do, then we get to do an hour and a half special about how stupid you are. Screw it, it's gonna be two and a
No,
half
not the
hours because
playoffs. If they
it's
go
gonna take a long time.
if they go to the Super Bowl, you can do that.
Okay, deal.
Because I could see
Deal.
them going to the playoffs. I don't see them going to the Super Bowl.
Okay, deal. I'll make
All right,
that.
we have a deal. All right,
All
my
right, sweet.
overreaction of the week. It's way better than yours. I'll tell you already. Daniel Jones is better than Dwayne Haskins.
You are ridiculous. You are
No.
ridiculous.
Look at the
Okay.
stats. Look at the film.
No. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look at their stats in college, and I'm gonna see
No,
that Dwayne.
no, hey,
No, I'm gonna look
back
at
up,
Daniel
back up,
Jones's
back up,
production, which was
back up,
non-existent, and then
back
Dwayne
up.
Haskins' production,
Hey.
which was absolutely incredible.
Is college football the NFL now? I forgot. Because you always love bringing in college stats to the NFL. Daniel Jones. Let me finish my point. I let you make your point. Let me finish mine.
Is one
Let me finish my
All right,
point.
go ahead.
Daniel
Keep
Jones.
sounding.
Actually, tell me whose stats are whose, okay? 5 for 5, 67 yards and a touchdown versus
Daniel Jones.
8 for 14, 117 yards and 2 picks.
Well, okay, but I'm going to interrupt you here, and I'm going to say that Dwayne Haskins had those 2 picks because he was playing the Browns, who are going to win the Super Bowl. So you got to give him a little bit of a break there.
I'm not giving Dwayne Haskins a break for throwing 2 picks because Daniel Jones, he was tearing the field up.
Against the second team.
Have you seen that? Did you see that touchdown pass? That was no joke.
I did. But against the first team defense, who knows if that's even a touchdown pass?
If it's against a first team defense, it's going to be in that same position. He makes the same throw. It's a touchdown.
Is the defender going to be in the same position though? Is that guy even
that was really good?
Or is he just gonna stare him down and go to whatever guy
he was against second stringers? He was against second stringers, but the receivers were second stringers too, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, but that doesn't matter. If he puts it, I'm not arguing that he didn't put it right in the breadbasket. It didn't even need to be a good catch. It was a great.
Okay, but if we're having this conversation, why not? Why are you giving Dwayne Haskins a break? He was playing second stringers.
Yeah, but the Browns' second stringers are just a little bit better than the Jets, and I think we can both agree on that.
That's all I have to say. Daniel Jones is going to turn out to be a better NFL quarterback than Dwayne Haskins.
That is the hottest of takes.
Well, that's going to do it for this week on the Game 7 podcast. Make sure to go over to Twitter and follow us at Game 7 Podcast _ and subscribe to us on YouTube. Coming soon, we will be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thanks for listening to the Game 7 Podcast.